us to explain.
Well, you know, there was a confluence of events this year that made the election for Georgia governor as rife with drama as it is. You have Stacey Abrams, a Democrat who got a national following as a voter registration activist running for governor.
Every single vote.
Who got 48.7% of the vote.
Brian Kemp.
You have Brian Kemp, who has declared himself the winner and begun his transition. He has 50.3% of the vote, just enough to avoid a runoff and perhaps even a recount. You had Kemp as Secretary of State, who ran the election and fought off allegations of voter suppression during his campaign. And with Tuesday's voting behind us now, there are deadlines. Gwinnett County is extending its deadline tonight for voters to verify their provisional ballots. There are nearly 22,000 provisional ballots out there, not enough by themselves to change the outcome of the governor's race. Counties will certify their votes Tuesday. Then the state certifies the election Wednesday. A recount is a possibility, but it's far from a sure thing, and the state's computerized balloting system doesn't really offer a true recount anyway. On this Friday night, the odds are long against Stacey Abrams somehow